It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this on October 20th, 2022 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today we got a Silent Hill blowout, Final Fantasy XVI edges closer to completion, and Bungie is bringing back Marathon. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great in my new fandom hat and my new fandom mug.
Yeah, I got the fandom mug over next to my coffee station, ready to go. So, yeah, it's it's a nice mug. It's a nice hat.
It's a nice mug. My one critique of this mug is like I like the two-tone they got going on, right? I don't like the handle. I can only get two fingers through it. So like I'm doing this with the mug where I'm like palming it and my thumb is going through the hole instead. That's right.
Yep.
I said it.
Palming it and thumb through the hole. I mean,
I heard a song this morning from Lil B, Bass God.
Okay.
And I thought it would be applicable to you, sir. Let me look up the title again.
Sure.
The song is called Swag Like Ohio. And then it made me think of you.
That's the life I try to live. That's the energy.
You are very based.
Yes,
Jeff
very
Grubb.
based, very swag like Ohio. I moved back here so Ohio could finally have swag again, and I think we're accomplishing our goal there. I got the
TYBG now means thank you, based Grubb.
Exactly. Yes, I'm wearing my new Bowser button up. I like it. It's just a bit too big, but oh well. It's it looks fine on stream at least. Could be an at home shirt.
Just tuck it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. It is. That's the problem. Is it's too long, so I'll wear it tucked. I'm gonna. This is gonna be my go out to eat shirt where I'm gonna tuck it in, be all fancy and stuff.
Please bring it to whatever holiday dinner we're gonna have.
I have another one just like this with Wario on it. So it's gonna be very good. All right. Before we get into this mess, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right. We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Silent Hill. Silent Hill had its big showcase. It's the Silent Hill transmission yesterday. I have a whole list of things that were announced. Let's just go through them, starting with Bloober's Silent Hill 2 remake being officially confirmed. That's what Bloober's working on for Konami, at least one of the things they're working on for Konami. It's coming to PS5 and PC next year. It's being made in the Unreal Engine. They're reworking the combat system, and I think it looks pretty good as someone who does not have a lot invested in Silent Hill. Now, you've recently replayed Silent Hill 2, or played it for the first time, right?
Yes.
What did it look like to you in terms of the jump, the increase in visual fidelity?
So it's probably a much better job than Konami themselves could ever pull off, because I had the benefit of having Jess as my tour guide through Silent Hill again, and we were using a fan mod that upgraded everything, like HD textures and all that jazz. Maybe not HD textures, but just made it look prettier because the PC port was abysmal, apparently. I think it looked completely fine. I thought it looked cool. A lot of that is probably just going to be, I don't know how much in-engine stuff we actually saw. A lot of it did seem like CGI cutscenes. But I'm mildly excited. I understand Jess's intrepidation towards Bloober Team, but maybe because they have the guidance of some folks that worked on Silent Hill 2, maybe it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that Imran Khan said on Twitter, former Fanbyte, current Pros and Cons Patreon overseer. He said, I know the name is incredible. He said that they're on a short leash. He said Konami has them on a short leash. Now, what does that mean? Because it's Konami holding the leash. are they competent enough to keep them reined in the way they need to? I mean, the implication there is that they are going to have the ability to do something like upgrade the combat system. Sure, go ahead and make that for modern audiences. But it doesn't sound like they're going to have the option to just dramatically or drastically change the story, which I think is the primary concern with Bloober Team working on it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that Konami knows how revered Silent Hill 2 is specifically. I mean, I'm sure they know that because otherwise they would just start at the beginning with Silent Hill 1 versus 2 here. And yeah, like, maybe they've read the dirt on the street that there's points of or big chunks of Bloober Team's games that that fall flat for a lot of people. But fingers crossed that the leash is mildly short. And yeah, I don't know. I hope no one fumbles the bag here for Jessica's sake.
Yes, exactly. That's I'm right. Like, there are people who really truly love Silent Hill. We know at least one of them personally. Jess cares about this stuff a lot, and I can appreciate that. There's a lot of stuff that I deeply care about, and if it was handled the way Silent Hill has been treated, I would be in that same realm that she's in, where she wants it, but she's not sure if she really wants it because it could go real bad. At the very least, it's clear that, I mean, coming out of the show, we'll talk about the rest of these announcements. Coming out of the show, Konami clearly sees dollar signs here. They clearly see an opportunity to make a lot of money, and I think if they pull this off, they're gonna be right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that is like a primary motivating factor for them. I mean, in most companies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you could do two birds with one seed here. You could not only feed your wallet, but also feed the starving fans of Silent Hill.
Exactly. Other announcements include Silent Hill Townfall, which was announced is a game coming from Annapurna Interactive. It's in development at Scottish studio No Code. No Code has previously developed Stories Untold and Observation. People seem to like that Stories Untold game well enough. No gameplay was shown. They did tease some imagery that seems to allude that it could be a first-person game, which again, I don't know if we mentioned it today yet so far, but every time Silent Hill has come up on this show in the last several months, we immediately go to they want to be like Resident Evil over at Capcom. And horror games, I think, have the option of going third person or first person. Ideally, though, if you could do it, you want to have both. You want to have both prongs of that attack.
Totally. A pincer system.
Exactly. Attack horror fans with a pincer system. It's the only way to be sure that you're going to take them out. Let's see here. Also, Silent Hill F. Maybe Forte. I think they confirmed it's just Silent Hill F. Is a new game from the studio behind Resident Evil Resistance, which is the Taiwan-based Neoboards Entertainment. And that Resistance, of course, people are trying to place. What is Resident Evil Resistance? It's the asymmetrical multiplayer survival game that was released in 2020. Right. It was the one that was like that. Like there was a 3-player team, I think. They also worked on the upcoming, still not released, Resident Evil Reverse, which was supposed to come out with Resident Evil Village, I think. Somehow that's still not out. This is a team that's worked on multiplayer Resident Evil games, and now they are going to be doing a Silent Hill, full-on sequel, it seems like. So, yeah, we'll see. Oh, yeah. Excellent chat says it looks like the f-stop in cameras. It does look exactly like that kind of
That's
F.
interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Good
mean,
call.
maybe it's because of the setting. I immediately my brain went to Fatal Frame. Versus,
what is that setting? It's a 1960s Japan, right? Yeah, I can see. So they are pulling from a different set of horror tropes, or potentially are pulling from a different set of horror tropes than what Silent Hill has done up to this point. So that's interesting. And yeah, I think Fatal Frame is maybe a good pull, especially if that F does have to do with F stops.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Fatal Frame also begins with the letter F.
Yeah, exactly. We're putting it all together here, people.
Boom.
Let's see, the Silent Hill F will be a completely new story set in 1960s Japan, featuring a beautiful yet horrifying world written by Ryukishi 07, famed for Japanese visual novels dealing with murder mysteries, psychological, and supernatural horror. So yeah, I mean, I think this is the one that seems to have the most potential, but it's also the one we know the least about. They didn't show much of anything. Well, you know, they did show some what looked like cinematic stuff. No gameplay as far as we could tell. But they set the stage in terms of this is they are moving the series forward. This is not necessarily just retreading. Here is the best of Silent Hill album with you know, the Pyramid Head and the bunny. You know, I guess I've never really realized the bunny was part of Silent Hill, but the bunny is also a big thing apparently. So yeah, they're doing something new. Like they had like this gross stuff growing out of buildings and gross stuff that then turned into flowers growing out of women. Yeah, it's spooky imagery, and it seems like it has a lot of potential. I don't know. Did this one do anything for you?
Yeah, this was incredibly interesting. Just because I so far from what I've gleaned and from the first two games that Silent Hill is very set in America, right?
Yes.
And I do like this settings change to like 1960s Japan. I've always found like horror films that are international to be even more so terrifying. On top of like me not understanding the language most of the time, to be just like a little bit more terrifying. And hey, also, you know, ghosts are older in Japan.
Right, get them old ghosts, which means they're going to be crankier, scarier. They know what they're doing. They got the hang of the touch thing you have to do in the Ghost movie with Patrick Swayze. It took him a long time. They're experts at that stuff. So
I was also getting vibes of Annihilation, the Natalie Portman film.
Sure, yeah.
A couple weeks ago. And I know, like, I tweeted out yesterday the Midsommar homage with a scene that comes later in this trailer.
Right.
So, you know, hey, Jess was saying herself that she would enjoy if Silent Hill was kind of treated as like an anthology series. And I'm in the same boat. I wouldn't mind at all.
I'm definitely getting those implications from what they've shown here so far. Agreed.
Yeah.
And then Konami has announced an interactive streaming series, Silent Hill Ascension. Silent Hill Ascension is billed as an interactive streaming series where the entire community shapes the canon of Silent Hill. While few details were given, Silent Hill Ascension appears to allow groups of viewers to collectively decide what happens next in the story. The project will launch in July 2023, and you can watch a teaser trailer on the site. I'll get it up here in a second. These are ones where I'm like, okay, what exactly is this? When they showed it to us, the way the players seem to be able to interact with it is through a text messaging interface. And yeah, I mean, okay, I've seen those games before. I don't know how that then translates into everybody affecting the way that the streaming series changes. But, you know, there's potential there. And again, this is a very active community, and giving them more ways to engage with the content seems like nothing but a good thing.
What if this is just a horror jackbox?
I really love that idea. I just everyone get out your cell phones, you know, here, put in the room code, and then there's immediate jump scare. Yeah, I would.
My phone. Oh no.
My phone's going boo at me all the time now. You know, let me bring up this video for Ascension. This is the one where I keep conflating it with that leaked game that has been rated already in South Korea, Silent Hill: A Short Message. And I just because I see this and I'm like, oh yeah, short message, you're sending text messages, so this is probably what this is. And then it said Ascension at the end. We never actually saw anything called a short message in this event. So it's like, oh, okay, was Ascension just called a short message in South Korea? Is that game never coming out and it was something else, or is it still yet to come? I suppose, you know, we know that Konami has a deal with PlayStation. Maybe a short message still actually is like a PT style teaser gameplay thing, and it'll actually get revealed at a PlayStation event later. Maybe that's hopeful thinking, but with so much happening here with Silent Hill and the partnership with PlayStation, and this not happening at a PlayStation event, maybe they were saving one thing for PlayStation. And that would be kind of a big thing if it is at all a PT-like.
Yeah, I think that it's incredibly wishful thinking to think that Konami has one more thing in their pocket other than 5 million statues to sell to their fans. But the mobile game stuff, like I've seen on like Instagram and TikTok, like a bunch of horror experiences that are just all text based. And I don't know if those necessarily do well, but I've seen a couple paid instances of those hit like the iOS charts a couple times around like Halloween and whatnot. So, if it's well written, I'll think about it.
Yes, same. People in chat are pointing out that Genvid, the developer responsible for Silent Hill Ascension, has done that with other properties, and so we could see what it looks like if we want to actually look into it. So I might do that after we're done here today. Okay. Then the next Silent Hill movie, Return to Silent Hill, was also announced. The film will once again be directed by Christoph Gaume, the director of the first Silent Hill film. That was way back in 2006. So he's coming back for this all these years later. Victor Hadida, the producer of the original film, will also produce this entry in the series. So a creative team is basically returning to come back and see this through once again. Seems like there was some serious problematic portrayals of trauma in the first movie that people have specific issues with. Christoph Gaume returning, you would hope. I mean, you said he's grown as a filmmaker generally. You would hope that he'd be able to like maybe skirt around those things this time, and maybe even hopefully correct some of that portrayal this time around. Do you have any hope for this movie?
So I did watch a little bit of his. I think it's 2014. He did a version of Beauty and the Beast, and when I say Christoph Gans has grown, unfortunately, I think he's grown as like a visual storyteller more so, like knowing how to use CGI mixed with like practical stuff. But when Jess re-enlightened me about the unfortunate portrayals of very serious matters, I don't know if Christoph Gans has grown in that regard.
Right. You would hope, like, working from a script that's maybe more mature.
Very different time.
Very different time. Exactly.
Yeah, like
that's once again maybe hopeful, wishful thinking, but we'll see, right?
Yeah, I mean 2006. Like you look at a lot of films released around 2006,
Christ, yes,
and a lot of them are super duper insensitive to a lot of things that we take very seriously now.
Yes.
So same boat, wishful thinking that there's people at the studios that are going to step in where they need to step in and be like, yo, we can't convey or portray X like that anymore.
Yes. This movie is supposed to come out next year. We'll see. It's targeting 2023. I suppose it's not like a video game where video games very easily get delayed, but movies also sometimes get delayed. They were only showing concept art, which is where my skepticism is coming from, and they haven't announced anything like a cast, I don't think. So movies get that stuff announced real early. So I just was expecting that stuff and if they haven't done that stuff yet and they're still targeting 2023, that gives me low budget vibes, which is it's a horror film and there's a certain charm to that. But I was kind of hoping maybe something a little bit bigger. But who could say what they want to go for and what their appetite is for investing in a movie?
I mean, generally horror films have lower budgets across the board, and they're able to stretch that. But with how much they rely on CG in the first Silent Hill movie, and how much Christoph Gans relied on CG for his Beauty and the Beast film, it makes me think that they're going to be stretching that budget out. Especially if they haven't begun like principal photography yet.
Yes, agreed. Let's people are bringing this up in the Twitch chat, and Mike asked this. Let's jump ahead real quick to this Final Fantasy 16 trailer. Unless do you have anything else about like an overall feeling about the Silent Hill thing you want to touch on, or should we move on to Final Fantasy 16 real quick?
Last thing is that I hope the Silent Hill fans out there will be happy. I hope I just want everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
I hope they get done justice.
Agreed. It's this is a long time coming, a decade basically without any sort of Silent Hill news. And then you show up tomorrow if you're a Silent Hill, or show up yesterday if you're a Silent Hill fan, and you get all of these announcements. There's a lot to pick from, but can almost feel like a magic trick. Jess kept reiterating this, that until she's playing something and enjoying it, there's not much reason, even now with all these announcements, to believe in what she saw. So I hope that we could see this through. Some of these games come out and they're at least competent and respectful of what fans like about Silent Hill. That would be a very nice end to this story, regardless of if they're Game of the Year material. It doesn't even have to be that. Just show some respect to that audience.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move over here to Final Fantasy XVI's new trailer. It's a pretty beefy one. We got something a bit meatier here. It's 4.5 minutes going over the story, characters, and setting, essentially. It is basically a roll call where it's like, hey, there's people from this kingdom, and then there's people from this kingdom, and then there's people from the desert, and they have a tan, and things like that. And, it's, if you were to go through the roster of Game of Thrones, it looks a lot like that. This is clearly very informed by Game of Thrones. Not to say that it's not going to pull its own stuff. It's also still Final Fantasy. Yeah, there's our tan boy. This is exciting. It's cool. I think the game looks very nice. I think I see Final Fantasy fans really going gaga on social media over this, and that's okay. Yeah, they're delivering what those fans want. I guess the bigger thing here is, was there supposed to be a Sony event this week? Because there was just a bunch of Silent Hill stuff, and now this big trailer. And what's going on? Like, why wouldn't Sony is co-marketing and it seems like co-producing the Silent Hill stuff, and we know that they have the exclusive deal, console exclusive deal, maybe even a full exclusive deal with Final Fantasy 16. Was Sony supposed to be announcing stuff this week, and that's where this trailer was going to appear? It seems weird, right?
I know why they're not doing it, Jeff Grubb. Because of their current wheelings and dealings trying to throw Microsoft under the bus with the Activision deal coming up and talking about exclusivity with we're not going to have Call of Duty. It's going to hurt our business. Them also, if they had a solo dolo state of play where they announced Silent Hill is exclusive, Final Fantasy 16 is exclusive, that would give Microsoft ammo to argue. Is they have exclusivities too. Them having Silent Hill for a console exclusive for a year, FF16, and who knows what else they're going to be co-marketing and co-publishing. Microsoft could use that, turn it around on Sony.
Yeah, that's one of the rumors going around. Someone said last week, and that rumor got some traction, but I think the way you characterized it sounds more plausible now after seeing this trailer. That Sony is doing the Marge Simpson sort of covering her face thing, don't perceive me, don't look at me, and yet they can't stop their partners who have to basically they already put all this stuff into motion from making the announcements they were going to make. Now, that Silent Hill event was always supposed to be a solo big Silent Hill event. It was supposed to be in September. And they delayed it for other reasons. I actually never was able to pin those down, but they delayed it for other reasons. And now it's here. But it does seem like still, because we didn't get that short message, and someone's saying that Dusk Golem, who is one of the big leakers on Silent Hill, Aesthetic Gamer, I think is also the same account, same person, said that a short message is still coming. It feels like, okay, well, yeah, you have this big Silent Hill event, and then at a PlayStation event, they talk about a short message, and here's another look at some of these trailers for some of these games that are coming to PlayStation, and also the Final Fantasy 16 Ambition trailer from our partner Square Enix, as well as all this these first party exclusives that we have. Now they can pull out their first party stuff, but Sony or Square Enix, we got to start selling our game. We got to start, but we have a marketing plan. We are not going to disrupt that because of you. So we're going to put out the trailer anyhow. It feels plausible.
Question: I forget. Was the SF or Street Fighter 6 open beta, was that PS5 only as well?
I think it was maybe no. I think you could play it on PC for sure, and I think it was on Xbox as well.
Oh, okay. I don't want to miss.
Right. That's a good question because it's trying to piece this puzzle together. If there's even a puzzle to put together here, we don't know for sure.
It was on every. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It was available everywhere. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. I'm leaning towards something was supposed to happen. These things could be coincidence, but it lines up, and Sony is definitely taking that CMA investigation pretty seriously, and any sort of ammo they could hand over to Microsoft, you see this in the documentation that both these companies are submitting to the CMA in the UK, which again, this is about the Activision acquisition by Microsoft for $69 billion. Each company is looking at every single thing the other executives are saying, whether it's in some obscure interview, if it's in the quarterly earnings report, if it's a tweet. Both have referenced all kinds of material of Phil Spencer said this. Oh, Jim Ryan talking to someone one time, in gamesindustry.biz said this line. And so they're using everything. And so why give the other company anything if you think there's any chance that you can get what you want from the CMA investigation? So my hang up about this, the idea that you laid out, was always that, listen, Sony could do that if their showcase was primarily single or first party releases. Partners are going to be too annoyed by that, and those partners are not going to care about Sony's deal with the CMA. They are just not going to have any sympathy for that. So if Sony goes and say, "Hey, we need to delay this because we're fighting with Microsoft," and Square Enix will be like, "Okay, well then we need to renegotiate the deal because that doesn't we need you to give us more money, or you need to figure out other ways to make this up to us." Or just let us do it on our own and release the trailer as is. And now they've done that, and it feels like, okay, then maybe something was supposed to happen this week.
Yeah.
I guess that means then when do we expect them to do something? They do have a lot of stuff they still need to remind us about. Spider-Man 2, Wolverine could get an update, and then a bunch of other games that we know are in development in terms of they've got 10 live service games that they haven't talked about. Eventually, some of those are going to have to start coming out. So, yeah, it feels like something has to happen soon, right?
Right. And then I feel like they just have to do a better job trying to hype up PSVR 2 as well.
Yeah.
And then hey, maybe they really announce the a solid release date or the pricing at least. I don't see there being multiple SKUs. I don't know how they could do that.
Yeah, and they need to start telling that story though about what games you feel that you're going to need to get with this, why it's worth whatever price it's going to cost. Like they need to start that soon. Now, we say need. Like what is need? At a certain point, these companies have discovered, and we've gone over this a couple times before, that shorter campaigns are beneficial. I was looking into, hey, why have we heard about Star Wars Jedi Survivor anytime recently? Well, it's still on track for that March release date, as we've been saying this whole time, as EA has been saying in its earnings reports to investors this entire time, that the big partner game is coming. Well, that's always been Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but it's October. That's less than 5 months away. Why aren't we hearing about it? Well, no, they have a plan. They're going to start talking about it in December and go right into a release right then. There's no issue with the game right now. Who knows? Something could change there. But right now, no issue. That was just always the plan, to have a pretty short window of when they're going to promote it. And they don't think that's going to have any negative effect. Now, launching new hardware like a PSVR, maybe there's something else to it. But there's a lot of factors Sony's considering. And if these shorter campaigns are working and you also want to avoid extra ammo for your opponent in a legal battle, well, here we are. It's at least very fun to talk about, if nothing else. Let's see, Final Fantasy 16. A few other details here. The development team posted some messages to social media, kind of updating fans about what's going on. And they said the team has turned its full attention to debugging and final adjustments because the game is in the polishing phase. It is close to being finished. Now that things are starting to come together, the game is sizing up to be something truly special. Also, let's see here. Let me switch over here real quick. They also said the game edges closer to completion. And that's how they said it. And I don't know what you want me all to do about that, but good for them.
They're big Blink 182 fans. They really like the single that came out last week, Edging. They're like, yo, we're equally as hyped about Blink getting back together. Let's bring back Edging.
They're bringing back Edging over there at Square Enix, and I hope they complete it. Okay, let's bop back up here.
Last thing about Final Fantasy 16 is, maybe this is because I've been watching a lot of Andor recently, but the main dude in Final Fantasy 16 kind of ever so slightly looks like Diego Luna, and then maybe that's making me more excited to play.
Yeah, and not a bad choice. More video game characters should look like and just be Diego Luna. he owns in that show. He is so good. I get so frustrated with I don't get so frustrated. I watch a TV show and I see the acting that is like you always hear, oh, this is the best acting. And to me, it's like usually overacting and they're overselling their emotions. Diego Luna acts with his eyes and just nails it, and it feels realistic and natural. And man, he just blows me away in that show. All right. I don't have to talk about Andor every single episode, except for I do. All right. Bungie set to revive the Marathon series in a new way. This comes from Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. I've heard this as well. Let's go over what he says, and then I have a few extra bullet points for y'all about what's going on with this game. According to sources, Bungie is set to bring back the Marathon series with a new game that will be a three-man squad extraction-based shooter. So think Tarkov, everybody. More Tarkov games. This one's going to be a Tarkov as well. The title is in a pre-alpha state, sources said, but it could be announced at any point given the industry's competition for talent. Marathon takes place on a planet that was previously home to a human colony that vanished, with humans, now sparse, using highly customizable cyborgs called runners to gather loot, it was said. It's understood that the gameplay loop of Marathon is similar to most extraction-based shooters. Choose a mission, buy and choose your loadout, drop into the map, hunt for loot and complete missions, and then extract safely. Just like with most extraction-based shooters, it's understood that you lose all of your loot if you're unfortunate enough to die. The game is intended to be the ultimate example of a living game, that's quote-unquote, according to the sources. Seasonal rewards and progression will be a huge part of the game, which isn't surprising considering Bungie's success with Destiny and its live service. Now, yes, again, I've heard this. I can echo some of those details, maybe a few other new tidbits here, not much, but as a runner, you are a cyborg who jacks into your spacesuit, and that's going to be the thing that is highly customizable, and that is a point that Bungie is very, very emphasizing, very focused on, that you are going to be able to customize everything about this, and they want you to feel like your character is truly your own. Obviously, a lot of benefits for selling microtransactions when it comes to something like that. Let's see, the game has a very vibrant look, very vibrant colors, but then the geometry of the world, at least in concept art, is very boxy and maybe brutalist. Is how it was described to me. And then the key points for Bungie, beyond everything being highly customizable, is it's got an authentic Bungie first-person shooter experience, a dynamic world, seasonal rewards, as Tom wrote, and then there will be secrets. There will be a lot of emphasis on these runner characters and their culture, and then the setting will have a plausible future. And then, yes, again, that gameplay loop is going to be choose loadout, choose your objectives, spawn in, explore, find loot, and then extract. And then the other big point that Bungie is really keyed in on is no load times and very, very minimal queue times to get into the game. How's this sound to you, Jan? I'm like, hey, I've never gotten into a Tarkov. I think it's only a matter of time before I do. And who knows? Maybe this one will be the one to do it for me. What are you thinking?
Likewise, I don't think. I didn't think that Marathon had. I guess like that big of a following, but I have heard Tarkov before and not, excuse my ignorance, didn't know what the heck people were talking about. But based off of everything we just read off here, I think this sounds completely fine to me.
Yes.
And this sounds like a games as a service type of dealio that Sony is just itching to get out onto the market.
Right. And this is likely, I guess I don't know for sure. I think maybe I was told that this is the game that they started in terms of their partnership with NetEase. I think it is NetEase, or is it Nexon? Again, I always mix up the two. Sorry, everybody. I think it's NetEase. Either way, so it was always going to be a very live service game, likely free to play, likely able to run on a wide variety of devices for a global audience and all that stuff. And then at the same time, this is going to be a Sony game going forward in terms of who's the owner in terms of the ownership structure. But you know, there was going to be a pre-existing contract with another publisher, and so this might not exactly be emblematic of what a Bungie owned by Sony game will look like. But regardless, Sony this is still something that Sony will really like. If this is a game that takes off and begins making a lot of revenue, that'll still benefit them. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll up and see who corrected me. No, nope. All right. No one knows either.
That's right. No mistakes.
Yes. Who can remember the difference between Nexon and NetEase? Not me. That's for sure. Okay. One developer is claiming that many studios are asking Xbox to drop the mandatory Series S compatibility. This comes from VGC. Microsoft's entry-level console, Xbox Series S, is limiting the potential of new-gen games, a developer at indie studio Bossa Studios has argued. Jeff Gerstmann tweeted, most of these games also come to PC and already have to cover a wide variety of configs as a way of explaining, hey, Xbox Series S doesn't seem to be the problem. But in response to Jeff, McClure said in a now-protected tweet, it might sound broken, but the reason you are hearing it a lot right now is because many developers have been sitting in meetings for the past year desperately trying to get Series S launch requirements dropped. Studios have been through one development cycle where Series S turned out to be an albatross around the neck of production, and now that games are firmly being developed with new consoles in mind, teams do not want to repeat this process. Now, there's a little bit of selection bias going on here. This is one developer saying this. When this story came out initially, it was on forums, and you could find a lot of other developers saying this isn't a problem. This isn't something that a lot of developers are trying to get undone. Maybe it is causing some headaches, but it's not some extreme headache that developers can't figure out ways of dealing with it. So obviously there's multiple sides to the story. These tweets are no longer available for the public to read. Like I said, they're either been protected or actually deleted. But I do believe to a certain extent that developers are concerned about the Series S going forward because many of them are likely at a point where they are scoping out what their next game is going to be, and that game is going to be new gen only. It's not going to be running on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One anymore, so they want to feel completely free to do whatever they want. And now they're looking at the Xbox Series S and be like, well, we can't do everything we want graphically. And the issue there does not seem to really be the CPU or the GPU. Both are relatively pretty powerful. It's that 10 gigabytes of RAM available in the Xbox Series S and those memory limitations. Now, one of the reasons I think this probably will get remedied by Microsoft is as it updates its direct storage APIs so that things can get read out of the SSD faster. Developers may be able to have new tricks and new tools at their disposal to not have to worry about having so many things in RAM. This is something that I think Arthur Geese was pointing out on Twitter, and as I looked into it, it's like, oh, that's what people have been saying for quite some time about the future of this generation. The developers have not really worked with direct storage all that much so far, especially coming from the PC side of things, which is it's just getting off the ground. And they had to make their games for Xbox One and PlayStation 4, which doesn't have that option available to them. So hopefully as they become more acquainted with using that, this won't be that much of an issue. All that said, I get, memory is always the thing. It's always been memory, having enough memory to do what you want to do. And as games get bigger and bigger and scoped out where you want to do all this stuff, and then people say, well, how are we going to fit it into this much RAM? It's always going to be the first question. And it's going to be the thing, well, doesn't the Xbox Series X have that much? Well, oh, no, but you also have to put it on the Xbox Series S. And then they say why, and they have those conversations. I think this is true, and I also think it's not the full story at the same time. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I feel like there's a different factor percolating underneath the surface here besides the Series S being a little bit of a headache to also keep into considerations for developing. Because, yeah, I mean, like, think about how many different types of graphics cards there are out there for PC games and how people have to jack everything down to low and kind of like bootleg other ways to play new games just to get stuff running. I don't know. It doesn't feel like the same type of problem that developers had when also trying to make additional versions of a game for something like the Wii. But I don't know. It's kind of a bummer for folks that picked up a Series S and may not be able to play everything in the future.
Right. And there's no indication that Microsoft's going to give in to what this person is suggesting is demands from many developers, which, again, we don't know if that's accurate. And we know that many developers feel the opposite about the Series S. But you're right. If that it does come to pass, that would be a shame. A lot of people have bought the Xbox Series S.
It sold really well.
It sold really well. And if you're Microsoft, obviously the better path is go and help these developers figure out how to use this hardware in a more efficient way. Develop better tools so they can do that stuff and just make it easier for them. And until you make it easier for them, step in and help them. That would probably be worth your time and money as opposed to deprecating the Series S in some way. So that does seem to be the plan. Like, again, with this direct storage stuff, that seems to be the plan of let's find ways to make it so that we could show developers that this 10 gigabytes of RAM is not the limitation that they think it is. In the meantime, Microsoft in recent months did make more memory available in the Xbox Series S from like the OS and gave it over to development side. So and that was like a couple hundred megabytes, but every little bit helps. Still, I think that sure, make big games, make really big games that need a lot of RAM. That is the scope of the size of a world. They're big enough, in my opinion. I want to see stuff done with the CPU like that, but that's where I want to see games scoped out in that direction. Where the real albatross last generation was these terrible CPUs in the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 that were made for netbooks and worse, and were just true garbage. And so developers stopped trying to do new things because they had basically tapped out all they could do with that level of power from a CPU. Now you have something that is significantly more powerful. You have tons of overhead to do simulation and physics stuff. So use those ideas instead of, well, what if the world was bigger? Okay. Sure, that's great, but mess around with direct storage in the meantime, and then also come up with ideas that take advantage of these other things that you now do have that you didn't have before. But then, that's just my feeling on it.
Make a game under 60 gigs challenge.
Difficulty level impossible. Alan Wake Remastered gets surprise release on Switch, and it's out now. Alan Wake Remastered was known to be coming to Switch, but we didn't have an exact release date. Interestingly enough, the game has just dropped. That comes from Nintendo Everything, by the way. Alan Wake Remastered will normally cost $30 on the Switch eShop. However, you can get it right now for 20% off, which they didn't do the math for me. Let's see, it would be $6 off. So, basically $24. Cool, yeah, go get it for $24 right now. That's a pretty decent price to go play Alan Wake Remastered. If you do that, we're playing this on the Game Mess server as our game of the month for October. I know Mike just finished it. He might even be starting the DLC. So, yeah, let's everyone go play Alan Wake Remastered and then listen to our discussion about it. Ability to browse Discord servers and voice channels from console coming to Xbox Insider Update. This is a nice one, right? We talked about this where, hey, you could get Discord on your Xbox, but you still have to do everything from your phone. That's a bit annoying. That's changing. Yeah. A Discord server and voice channel browser is now available when clicking the Discord button in the guide under Parties and Chats, so account-linked users can join a voice channel directly from their console. Users who do not have their Discord and Xbox account linked already will be directed to link their accounts after clicking the Discord button. Note, to join direct calls, you will still need to use your mobile apps. So if you are just picking from a server and then the list of channels inside that server, you're not going to have any issues to just doing that all from your console, which has always been the big hang up with this implementation. It's solved now. Hopefully it just works as advertised. But if it does, this is the future. I just want everything to have Discord. We're here. We did it. Hooray. Everyone pat yourselves on the back. Yay.
Hey.
We did it. Yes, exactly. Are you going to use Discord on your consoles, Jan?
No, because I'm primarily playing everything on PC now.
Same.
But God, will this help me and the homies play things and communicate more effectively? Because in-game chat systems or in-game talking is not always the best across the board. Some games do it better than others. Also, I just don't want to have to talk to randos because it's I don't want to learn that you're actually 15 and you were smoking me at this game.
While also smoking a very loud bong.
Exactly. Bong yellow,
Yeah, I know. I own one. That's the name of my bong for sure.
But this would be great because my buddies, bless their hearts, they don't want to get a gaming PC, and I completely understand that. And they've been hesitant to check out Discord, and them using it on their phones is okay enough, but I wouldn't mind like a more streamlined system for them to just like get to chatting.
Agreed. This is something where when I'm on PC now and I am doing crossplay, I'll be like, hey, everyone, we are getting Discord. It's easy enough now. No more excuses. Yes. It's easy enough. Finishing God of War's Norse saga in 2 games or a trilogy was, quote unquote, debated a lot. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Set for release on PS4 and PS5 next month, Ragnarok will complete the Norse story, which began with 2018's series reboot, God of War. But it could easily have been the second entry in a 3-part story rather than the concluding chapter, developers responsible for Ragnarok's story said in the first interview in a new series of behind-the-scenes videos. Here's a quote. Whether the Norse saga was going to be a trilogy or just 2 games was something we debated a lot, said lead writer Rich Galbraith. There was obviously pros and cons for either approach, so we waited for Santa Monica creative director Cory Barlog to weigh in, and he did, and he said, let's do it in 2. The consequence to that is, how do you wrap up this story in 1 game and do Ragnarok justice, said senior producer Ariel Angelotti. How do we lead up to that and then have a big moment at the end of the game and wrap up all those loose threads? I think this is something, Jan, where I hear that and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a challenge, but it sounds like an easier challenge than trying to spread not enough content over 2 more games, right?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a problem like Hollywood has been dealing with for forever now. And splitting into 2 parts, I don't see any problem with that. I like when there's also like a loose implication of like, hey, maybe the 3rd game will have some tie off some looser ends that we didn't tie off completely in the 2nd one. But the idea of having to play 3 God of War games to conclude whatever story they're going to tell does feel like a lot.
I agree. And it's also the kind of thing where every time this comes up, I always say this, there's diminishing returns very quickly these days. You get to the 3rd game, it takes a lot to ensure that people feel as excited about that as they did about the 1st and 2nd one. The first 2, the first game is really good. The 2nd game is made. Yep. No problems. It's going to be huge no matter what. If the 2nd one's just as good as the 1st one, the 3rd one is going to have to prove itself again all over, and the expectations will be so much higher. It'll be almost impossible to meet those expectations. It is so much easier to do these 2 games and then make the next one after that something new that feels like you're starting fresh, and you can start that process all over again. I think that's the primary reason that they keyed in on this. They're like, listen, we're going to spend a lot of time and money on these and efforts, and let's go all out with number 2, throw it on there, make it the best game it possibly can. And then when we come back with another God of War and it's significantly different, people will be ready for that. And as opposed to, okay, we're finishing this story now, and I guess I still care about some of these threads. And of course, I want to see the end of the story, but it's just not quite as exciting as it once was.
Also, I have very high hopes for God of War Ragnarok, but say it misses the boat, right? Say it doesn't completely stick the landing and it just doesn't conclude well, but it concludes the Norse saga at least. Then the 3rd game or that next game can be like another like clean-ish slate for them to explore a different type of mythology. Yeah,
and it's Marino in chat saying they've already set up the potential of other mythologies that they're ready to go to. And at a certain point, it almost feels like, okay, well, when are we going to get to those if you do a 3rd one? With 2 games, it's like, again, no, hey, I want more of this. But then if you start delaying going to that other mythology just by 1 more game, it's like, well, now we have to wait another 10 years before we're going to get there. It's going to be forever. So this is a really good pull. And there's nothing stopping them from wrapping back around and bringing some of these characters in or going back to the Norse setting if you need to. You could always do that again. So it feels like a good way of getting the maximum value from doing something new without overstaying your welcome. It's the Johnny Carson thing where it's like a 2-joke maximum on any one thing. Like you can say a joke and then from there, like people can build on that joke twice and then you have to move on. No ever doing those same jokes ever again. It's like, that's a pretty good rule of thumb, I think, for something as big as making games as well.
Exactly. Let's fight or find, maybe befriend Jesus.
Sure. Or, rip his head off. It's Kratos. All right. Well, while I'm burning in hell, let's go with these Gotham Knights review roundups. GameSpot gave the game a 4 out of 10 from reviewer Mark Delaney, who writes, strong character work and a well-considered co-op experience can't save all that ails Gotham Knights, leaving this experience neither the one fans deserve nor the one they need right now, which, if you're not aware, that's a reference to Spider-Man. I'm just joking.
A little cheeky
boy. Cheeky boy Mark Delaney there. VGC, feeling much warmer about this. Some schmuck named Jordan Midler said, Gotham Knights steps out of Arkham's shadow to provide a great superhero game full of excellent characters. While some of the shine is dampened by inconsistent console performance, it's gaming's best take on Gotham that we couldn't stop exploring. So he seemed to really like the city, which I've played a little bit of this, just like about 2 hours now. And the city is fun to explore, I think, as long as there's enough for me to do in it, which I actually can't tell yet. Game Informer gave it a 73 out of 100. This comes from Matt Miller. Gotham Knights didn't wow me with its overly familiar objectives, combat, and activities, but it didn't leave me sour. It's fun to control some new heroes as they brood over Gotham from its buildings' overhangs and uncover hidden plots against its peoples. Those heroes are right to wonder if they're living up to the vaunted legacy, and even if they're not quite up to snuff, Gotham has enough baddies to punch to make for a good time, whoever you are. And then finally, IGN with another sort of middling review here, 5 out of 10. Gotham Knights is a consistently disappointing return to Batman's troubled city and a distinct step backwards from the past decades plus of Batman games. Even if running around Gotham in 2-player co-op can be decent fun, and each of the 4 playable crime fighters are well executed in their dialogue and distinctive moves, too many of the fundamentals fall short for me to recommend it. And that comes from Travis Northup at IGN. Have you been spending any time with this? I don't know if you've had a chance to play it yet.
I've not had a chance to play it yet. I am... A lot of people whose opinions I trust are skewing me all over the place. You know, like Jordan Midler seems to be pretty high on the game versus Tam and Lucy also tweeted out their initial thoughts on the game, and I feel like a lot of my thoughts tend to echo theirs sometimes.
Sure,
it's kind of a bummer. I like Batman and I like the Bat family. I don't like the Red Hood, but you know, I can get down with everything else regardless.
He seems like a real doofus, the Red Hood in this game, by the way. I don't know.
I don't understand the magic. I get the Lazarus Pit. I get it. I get it. But then he's just like, but he's still fine shooting guns.
I'll tell you what. I have never heard the word Lazarus Pit or the phrase Lazarus Pit so many times in my life as in the first 2 hours of this game. Boy, do they have a lot to say about the Lazarus Pit. And did you know that Batman is dead? So
yeah. I've heard, just like Dumbledore.
But also Lazarus Pit. It's a hell of a thing.
It makes me think that the Lazarus Pit will play a pivotal part in that game.
It makes me think maybe it might be important.
Especially if they keep hammering home the 2 points. Lazarus Pit brings people back from death. Batman is hella dead.
Yep. And it's a little frustrating, the story. And I listen, inconsistencies in characterization in video games rarely gets to me. It's not really getting to me here. But if I were to nitpick on this, you've said Lazarus Pit literally 50 times. You've noted how it's weird that this group of villains is not using the Lazarus Pit to bring back their boss. That's weird. No one ever mentions the idea of bringing back Bruce Wayne with the Lazarus Pit. They're just like, it doesn't occur to them, so whatever. Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch sales jumped 41% in September. This is according to, this is for the UK monthly charts. Christopher Dring at GI Biz has this one for us. The UK games market saw a big jump in console sales during September, but the overall sector remains down over 2021. Sales of game consoles surged 41% during September, and that's according to GfK panel data showing that over 176,000 machines were sold. All 3 main consoles had a strong month. PS5 remained the best-selling console. It was up 9% over August. The machine now boasts over 2 million players in the UK. Just behind the PS5 is Xbox Series X and S, which saw a significant 104% jump in sales compared to August. So clearly a big dump of new Xbox systems available for purchase in the UK last month, and that led to a doubling of sales. And then further back in the third spot is Nintendo Switch, although even that console enjoyed a strong 44% sales uplift during the month, helped by the launch of Splatoon 3. Overall, year-to-date console sales are still down 35.5% in the UK. In terms of game sales, 3.17 million games were sold across the UK last month, which is up over 83% compared to August. So a big part of this is games were releasing and people were playing games in September, and they weren't in August because it was hot and people were outside or whatever. Over 950,000 physical games were sold, with the remaining 2.2 million coming from digital retailers. FIFA 23 was the top seller. It's the UK. Yeah, makes sense.
Of course.
All right. We're about 3 minutes away from being able to speak about this last one. Not a huge deal, everybody. So in the meantime, why don't we get to this poll that I have up over here by hitting the pumpkin button? There we go. So, would you wear the Pikachu Crocs? Jan, what do you think the audience had to say?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I saw the poll that was ran on site. And then I think we got to she's all that, the Giant Bomb audience.
Yes, we do. Yes.
We got to she's all that, the Giant Bomb audience.
Yes, we do.
Let them see their inner beauty, but then have them also realize that they were beautiful and gorgeous the whole time.
Exactly. Especially when they wear Crocs.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. Crocs, get with me on this wave, y'all. You want comfort? You want and then like relaxation? You got two different modes with Crocs, y'all. You got defense mode, and like that's when the little back strap is turned forward. But then you got attack mode when you got to be ready to go and run.
Okay.
And that's when you just slide in. Dan, yes, you should get Crocs.
Yes, Dan. Dan, you should. I'm surprised you haven't already.
Also, what's everyone's shoe sizes on the staff?
I'm a size 11. Mike Minotti keeps repeating in chat that he's a size 11. I think he thinks he's getting some too.
I'll get Mike Minotti one Croc.
Yes, a quarter of a Croc.
Okay. Fantastic. 9.5 wide. Okay.
Yeah, I got the wide. I don't think Croc offers a wide, Dan. That's what people were saying to me, and that scared me a little bit because oh no, my foot wiki, says Jess. All right, let's see here. 54 point
huge.
What's that?
Jason is huge.
What size is he? 13. Yep. That's a big boy. Okay. All right. 54.9% said no, they wouldn't, and they are cowards. 45.1% said yes. I think the key person here, obviously, is Lucy, who was immediately going just in on the Pikachu Crocs. And I think once she sees them in person, she'll change her mind. We'll see. Well, probably not.
Yo, I said this in chat, but like I'm not like a sneakerhead by any means, but I missed the Lightning McQueen Croc drop.
Oh no. Sorry to hear that.
It's man. Okay, hold on. I need to like find, because there was like a collab, Jeff Grubb, with Crocs and a specific designer that I really like. And I missed the
Post
boat
Malone?
on those as not Post Malone.
Favorite designer.
I missed the boat on those, and then now those are reselling for over $300.
Yeah.
And I thought about it.
So this is an investment, everybody.
Check out these Echo Clogs, man, on the website. These look sick as hell.
On the Crocs website?
Yeah.
Transition over here.
And the thing is, we could start making third-party giblets or gibbets.
Yeah. Wait, what? No, what's a giblet?
Gibbet, I think those are the little charms that you put on.
Okay, it's like a gun buddy in a video game.
Yeah.
When you put a gun buddy on your gun. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yo, see, my partner used to doubt me and like hate on me for like wanting to get us Crocs, and then she tried them and she was like, "All right, I'm gonna buy 3 pairs now." I'm gonna try some. Crocs gives free Crocs to healthcare workers amidst the pandemic. So you trying to hate on a company that's trying to help nurses and doctors? What's wrong with y'all?
Man, he's coming. He's coming for you now. All right, 2, 3. You know what? Let's do this. What,
Jeff Grubb, as soon as you get the children on Crocs, they won't want to go back.
Yeah, listen, I'm afraid of that, actually, because I can't live my entire life in a Croc lifestyle, and I know that as soon as we put those on my children's feet, that's all they're going to want. Real quick, everybody, Vampire Survivors 1.0 is available right now. That was embargoed until right this minute, so congratulations. Go waste the rest of your day playing that game, because that's a good use of your time right there. Let me do the other poll real quick here. Now that you've seen it, what grade would you give the Silent Hill event? What grade would you... We did the how excited were you? Now we're on the other side. Let's see here. Oh, that's an exclamation point. B, C, D or lower. And then
I'll be right back, Jeff Grubb. I need to show and tell again.
Yeah, no, do it. Absolutely. In the meantime, everybody, what do we have happening on Giant Bomb? When I say, what's up, Giant Bomb, you say everything. Let me take a look here. I got it right there. There's the schedule. Thursday, we are going to do Sonic 06 with Dan Reichert, Jess O'Brien, and Jeff Grubb. I guess somehow I've been linked to this. We'll be playing that right after this. I'm going to finish the show. We're going to go right into it. Dan's primed and ready to play Sonic. We have a Gotham Knights Quick Look Live going up later today. I will at least be sitting in on that. I'm ready to see what these guys think about this game. And then the voicemail dump truck later on today. And then show up tomorrow for another Game Mess Mornings.
I gotta find some voicemails then. All right, real quick, Jeff Grubb.
Yeah, let's see. Hang on, let me make it bigger here. There we go, pumpkins, and now there you are.
This is how I'm going to convince everyone to get Crocs. And folks saying hashtag ad. I wish it was. I would sell my soul for Crocs.
For real. Hey, Crocs, hit us up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, these are boots I normally wear, right? These are Red Wing Heritage mock toes.
Ooh,
these are heavy as shit and laces.
Fancy boy. Got them Red Wings.
And then I started wearing these slip-on boots, Redbacks. These are great. Also, again, not an ad. And then I was thinking, like, yo, it's great not having to tie laces anymore. And then that's when we got the Crocs. Look.
Yeah, you know what? Mode, laces are bullshit. Mode. They are. They just come untied, or you have to do a double knot, and then it's a pain in the ass to untie them when you want to. They're bullshit.
They got flops. They got flops like this too. Look, there's like a Nezuko gibbet from Demon Slayer. You got a waffle one, a gummy bear. Yo, let me tell you.
I never want to tie my shoes again, Jan. I've decided. What is this? The depression using string on our feet? It's 2022. We don't have flying cars, but fine. As long as I never have to tie my shoes again. We're getting Crocs. Everybody. God damn it.
And think about this. You can't wear normal shoes and then step into a lake or a river. You could do that with Crocs.
Crocs are getting ventilated. They got little drainage routes and whatever.
Exactly, y'all.
All right, come back tomorrow for Croc Talk. It's going to be a big thing on this show from now on, everybody. Oh, do you want Crocs? No. Okay, well, I'll talk her into it. I want Mario too. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're going to get out of here. You're the best audience of gaming. Jan, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you, Jeff Grubb.
All right, everybody. Till next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. You want Mario? All right, we'll do Mario.